Welcome back to Fix More Waste Less. I am still working on this Xbox One that I worked on to replace a MOSFET that was corroded because of bugs, and it still, when I plug in, doesn't want to work properly. Let's test that out and see if that's still the case. Plop this back on here. This was really our only indication that anything was different. And then we get so see, we can see that light, and if I try turning it on, yeah, comes on for a split second, tries to spin, doesn't do it. Gonna go around and test some of these points to see if we have any standby voltages. And I'm thinking we should have something missing. What? I don't know. But I know we're missing 12 volts, so let's see, let's plug it back in. Bring our multimeter in here. So getting very little out of there. I should be getting like 12 volts from here, because watch this. If I try and turn it on, it jumps up to 12 and then shuts right back off. So something is shutting it off. We're getting 5 volts here. Still can't see where I'm at, can you? There we go. Up here, 5 volts. So 5 volts is getting all the way up here. 5 volts here. Volts. Okay, I'm getting 5 volts here. 5 volts there. Oh, there. No. Let's see where. 40 volts. Okay, and it's like 40 all the way. It's fine. And then, okay, well, okay, there. So, where else? It is. Red probe on ground, and let's test one of these that we think is good. So like this guy, either these three, they've got a 0.01, you know, and when you try and, they beep, but they're 10 ohms, so they're not shorted. So 0.01, 0.01, but then when you come down to the one that we've replaced, we're getting a nice little 0. Now, also this cap over here, 0, because that's ground, sure. This side though, 0.012. So this side, ground, and then this side is also ground. So I think this might just be touching ground underneath it somehow. But I mean, it could be this cap right here, right? This cap could be, you know, how about if I remove this cap, see if that relieves the short, and we'll see what happens. Flux. There we go. Maybe now they're not connected. Yeah. There we go. I think this area is just going to show that it's really you know, this is good. This side's good. You know, 0.4. And these are 0.012, so not shorted, not 0 like that. So that one's 0. I'm taking this cap off. It did not relieve this, what I assume is a short. Beeps here, like we're dead. And then checking this one. Now this is ground plane, ground. But this should be 10 ohms resistance, and this is showing me no resistance. So this might be bad, and this might also be bad. Now I did find the schematics for the Xbox One original online. I do like looking through schematics. It's confusing at times, but also fun to get a visual representation of what you're looking at on the board. And you can see here, this is the section of the board I'm looking at. These two circular things here are actually these are the MOSFETs. The one highlighted is the one that I replaced already, and the one below it is the larger MOSFET that I think is also probably shorted to ground. You can see ground here. The top should not be giving you a ground reading. So I do think that this MOSFET is probably corrupted or damaged in some way, and it's just letting the 12 volts that comes in go right to ground, and it's shutting off the whole circuit. You can see over here, this is the capacitor, that small capacitor that I lifted up. You know, sometimes it's good to look at the schematics if you can find them. You can't always find them. They try very, very hard to keep them hidden and off the internet, but sometimes we get lucky and they get released. But I'm going to try and take this off, see if that gets rid of this short. If it does, then perhaps this just is all messed up underneath because the corrosion could damage the board. And if that doesn't do it, then I'm gonna take this one off and see if that does it. But at this point, I don't know what else to do with this, so I really want to try and get this off with what I have. But I'm just not sure. Part of the problem is I'm not sure if my hot air station is up to the task. I'm gonna put flux on it to help out. I'm gonna take this guy off first. Here we go, ready? Decent speed, decent airflow. Let's heat this whole area up a little bit and get it nice and warm. Just doesn't feel that. Yeah. Get it nice and warm. Yeah. Try and not get the capacitors right there. Get the airspeed up a little higher. Okay. Bump it up to 400. Concentrated nozzle right on this guy, and it's not budging. I'm at 400 degrees, quote unquote 400 degrees. I mean, nothing. This isn't getting anything. This isn't getting anything. Oh, it's moving a little bit. Maybe. Okay, there we go. Got it off. Beautiful. Cool, cool. I did get it off. That's very nice. Did that relieve the short? That's still showing me. Oh wait, what's that showing me? That's 0. 0, and these are showing me 6. Obviously a little hotter, so So 5. That's still 0. So that's still... Yeah. Alright, so I'm going to take this guy off and see if that does anything for me. Hey, got that. 400. Okay, high temperature 400. Okay. Let's add some flux to this one too. This one's going to be bigger. Okay, I'm kind of hoping this relieves it. I don't have that part to replace it with now. But if it does relieve the short, at least I'll know, like, that's probably the problem. I'm not sure if I'll actually end up fixing this, but it's always good to learn. Okay. Not yet. Not yet. Come on. That's 400. Directly onto it. I don't really care. Yeah. Nope. An option would be some leaded solder on the leads to see if that would help a little bit, but shouldn't have to do that, honestly. There we go. I see something bubbling underneath. Okay, we're going up. Is it actually getting any hotter? That's the question, right? Yeah, come on. I feel a lot of heat. We're wiggling it. Now, this is 444. It's not doing it. I mean, look at that. It's not moving it. I don't know if I can go any higher. I guess I can try. Hope this thing doesn't blow up in my hand. 480. Look at this. I mean, that's not even melted anymore. It's not directly on it, but still. Now. Can I get this big chip off? 480. I mean, it's not a big chip, it's MOSFET. It's got a decent ground plane. I'm sure, yeah. Sure, yeah. But, come on. It's not even doing anything. It's not even close to budging. Look at that. 480. Can you probably see that from there? It says. Oh, screw it. Here. 480. Max temperature. No. It's just ridiculous. Ridiculous. I didn't see anything in there moving. That is hot. Okay. I thought this might be a video about that. Thought this might be a video less about fixing this and more about the problem with inadequate tools. So yeah, I think that's gonna be the lesson for this video. Not how to fix a Xbox One that doesn't work, because while interesting, obviously, and fun to do in some ways, it's not a big loss that this doesn't get completely fixed. I mean, some of these things I could probably use for other ones, maybe Xbox One S's. I don't know if there's any interchangeable parts, but or I could just use it to learn more of, trying to take off, you know, RAM chips and whatnot. But yeah, it makes it a real pain to try and do this with tools that don't want to keep the heat. I mean, that's really the important part. Is I don't know if it's not putting out enough heat, or if it's not even anywhere close to the 480 degrees that it said it was Celsius. I mean, this is Celsius, right? So yeah, it's in Celsius. So that's more than you should need to take off a chip that size. It's not taking off a giant, it's not taking off a RAM chip, it's not taking off a CPU or whatever. And I've used it for other things, and yeah, it can do some small chips. It can do, I mean, even here you could see it was having a hard time with these, but I mean, I've obviously had it blow off other chips. I think you're going to see an Xbox One X video eventually where I have a few resistors or capacitors blow off using that, but I'm also having a hard time on that fix. That's one I really want to have work, but it's a pain in the ass to have to deal with inadequate pieces, and I think that's honestly the main takeaway, is that you shouldn't shortchange yourself with cheap pieces. If you're going to turn this into a legit hobby or more, you should buy quality stuff, and you should probably go for the best you can afford. I mean, you know, you might not be able to afford a lot at first, but I would honestly rather save up. I would rather have saved up and not waste the money on something that works well over this, because now I have you know, this was $50 or whatever, $50-$60 on Amazon for Prime Day, and I was looking at it and thought it's got some decent reviews. But yeah, when you're just using it for small resistors and small things on thin PCB boards, it might be okay, and that might be what you want and all you're looking for, and that's fine. But when you're going to start using it on bigger chips, bigger boards, bigger ground planes, it's clearly showing here that it's quite incapable of doing that. Now I could take leaded solder and put it in here, try and lower this melting point, and probably maybe get it off there, but there's a ground plane underneath here, just like this. I'm not going to be able to get to probably doing that method. So it's gonna be a problem, but I'm going to probably look to invest in a decent hot air station, and then I would come back to this and see how that does pulling this off with my skill level, because it could be me still. You know, obviously it could be my lack of skill, my lack of knowledge, my lack of whatever. Now it's cooled off completely. That's amazing. But if I can come back and, you know, maybe desolder this quickly with a more powerful unit, a more capable unit, then that would tell me something, and that would be good to know. It might be an expensive lesson to learn. And, you know, if I still have struggle with that, then I'll know that, okay, it's just me. Because that's one thing when you're new to this that you don't know about. Like, I don't know, is it me or is it the equipment? Right now I think it's the equipment, but I could easily prove to myself and to all of you that it actually is me. And that would be good to know. Either way, you know. If it's the equipment and I buy better equipment and it works, then that's great. That's less frustration, less annoyance, less time wasted trying to get these off. And not just the time that, oh, hey, it takes 2 minutes versus, 30 seconds. It's more trying and trying, failing, trying and trying and failing. And then doing something bad, like ripping this off when it wasn't ready and tearing traces and pads and making a much bigger mess than you need to. When if you just use the right equipment, you might not have had that problem. So I'm going to stop this repair here. I thank you for watching. I hope you learned something useful. I do hope that you take into account what I said about not going for the cheapest equipment, even when you don't have the budget for more. I really think that you might benefit from trying to save up, especially if you're going to be doing things like this. So, all right. Thank you for watching. Come on. Look at that. Come on. Yeah. Basically, this tells me I need to get a new hot air gun. This should not be taking this long to come off, even on a thick board like this.